joking.
Buy
So
my book.
after breakup, we're going to talk about finding forever, happy ever after, and romancy business. So I did have some like official bios for all these fabulous authors you see before you. But because I know that some of these authors love to be off the cuff, I'm going to say, tell us something that the audience should know about you. And I'm going to start with Melissa, because you're staring at me like a little doe in the headlights.
Wait, what was the question?
Tell the audience something they should know about you.
They should know about me.
Yes.
Well, I'm one of the ones who has ruined queerness. I'm one of the straight women who has come out.
Okay.
So I would like to apologize to you and to all of the lesbians for ruining it. I know you are. I'm from Texas. How about that? I don't know. This is very on the spot. This is my second day in England, and I'm very self-conscious about my accent and about the whole thing with scones, or should I just spell it? Because I probably just said it wrong. I know you did, but it's like I'm freaking out. So I'm going obviously to the most combative issue in England, which is how to say SCONE, and then the whole clotted cream and jam thing. And I'll be honest, I just did 2 halves, and I did it both ways. And she just said that. I mean, look at her. I've embarrassed her, and she's like, "Whatever you do, don't do that." And so, I think my time in England is going to be really, really interesting.
See, that was good. Off the cuff.
Yes, off the cuff.
MA.
It's scones.
Let's have a little poll. Raise your hands if you feel it's scone. Raise your hands if you think it's scones.
Winner, chicken dinner. Yes.
Conclusive, incontrovertible scone.
Thank you.
Okay, so Suzanne, Maggie. Yes. Stop talking amongst yourselves. Would you like to tell our wonderful audience something interesting about yourself?
Well, I only started writing lesfic in 2020, and so this is my coming out event. It's the first time I've appeared as gay in a public arena, and it's the first time I've appeared as an author, and so I'm really happy to be here, and I look forward to meeting as many of you as possible. I've not been sort of slack about it. I've churned out books since 2020. I'm now on my 8th published book. So never look at the quality, feel the width, is what they used to say. But I'm excited. I'm also into the midlife crisis, because I've just linked up with Nikki, who's now started editing my books. And I think now they're going to be published under a joint name. Started by Maggie McIntyre, finished by Nikki Robinson. But
okay, I'm gonna stop you there, because I know, bless you could talk for hours. So, I only asked for one interesting thing. So we have 2 MCs. Tom's the lovely, gentle MC, and I'm the mean MC. You just discovered. Julie, would you like to tell us something interesting about yourself?
Okay. Well, see, unlike Melissa, I have been in this country for half my life. And so I told her never to bring up scones. Just don't do it. And I really told her, please never discuss with a British person the correct way to make a cup of tea. Because I'm probably being an American, they think we all make tea in the microwave.
You did.
I've seen now. Some people do, but So she just blurted it right out.
I did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dave. I'll make it up to you later.
Thank you. I met Melissa when I read her book, and then she slid into my DMs on Twitter and started flirting with me.
Did,
and
it worked.
It worked. So they're my two interesting. That's my interesting fact.
Okay. And Emma, yes.
Yeah, I'm still reading from the use of the word width. Thank you. I'm Michelle. I chose MA as a very cunning way of disguising my name as Michelle Binfield, the middle name of Anne. So MA Binfield's cunning. You would never guess it was me. And I've been writing since 2022. I'm a pandemic author, so yeah, not out very much in person.
Wait.
So just this year.
This is
2022.
2022, but all my events have been online, so yeah, mostly. So real people scare me. I'm excited that Rosie is interested in the evolution of tall lesbians. That's really what I took from her whole thing there.
Just even the playing field.
And I'm psyched to be here.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And last but by no means least, Iona on the corner. You've had plenty of time.
Doesn't help.
Still not enough.
I, like Maggie, I haven't been writing for very long. I published my debut novel last year, and unlike Maggie, I'm not churning them out, but the second one's coming out soon.
Excellent. Thank you very much. See, Maggie, did you see how I read that? That was perfect. That's what I'm talking
we
about.
balance each other
You sat
out.
in the back. No, you know I love you. Okay, so romance is the best-selling genre across the world, regardless of sexuality. So my question is, why do you think we love romance and happy ever afters so much? And who would like to start first? Julie, you've got a big, huge smile on your face, so
Well,
I don't know if it's just because she's so happy to be
like
here, or it's like, yes, I want to answer that question.
See, I have a lot to say about this. So
Go for it.
I'm a vice president of the Romantic Novelists Association. I started out my career many years ago writing for Mills and Boon. So I have a lot to say about romance, even though actually I don't write it anymore. I write love stories. But I think that love stories, romantic fiction, is about the most important thing in anybody's life, which is relationships. And what it offers us, it's escapist, which is really what we need right now, I think. A lot of us need escape in what we read. And what it shows, what every happy ever after shows, is the possibility of redemption. And when we read a romantic novel, usually we know how it's going to end. They're going to get together. So the happy ever after is the point of it, but that's not what we're reading it for. What we actually read it for is the journey to that happy ever after, which is the character's journey and the redemption. So I feel that they're intensely redemptive and hopeful novels, and really. So, and even though I don't write genre romance anymore, I write love stories. That redemption and that hope are things that I personally want to keep in my novels.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That's a very good answer. I like that.
It is my job.
Who would like to follow that answer?
Literally no one. I mean, I agree. I think I would agree. You rarely get romances where two simple people simply get together in a simple, enjoyable, easy way.
No,
Normally,
that would be really boring.
Yeah, exactly. And that is romance. But I think that idea that someone who's been damaged, someone who's had a breakup, a bad experience, and slow to get back on the horse. I think that, redemptive is a great word. I might not have thought of it that way. But I like that. In the books that I read and the books that I write, I really like that idea that people find the person they're meant to find at the time they're meant to find them. And they're ready for it at that point, and all the things that went before is just part of them getting ready for that person. That sounds so soppy.
It's soppy. Lovely.
No. But
Very
I
nice.
believe it, yeah, and I think it's true. We can all recognise that, I think, in our lives, that you think something's meant to be, and then you realise it wasn't. It was just part of your path to something that was meant to be. And I think for those of us that are on that path, and maybe you're not where you're meant to be, the idea that there is something for you, even in all the twists and turns of your life, I think that's what brings people back to romance. Yeah.
I'm going to be a little less romantic about it. I love the romance, trust me. But I think one of the reasons why romance and mysteries, mysteries are one of the best-selling genres as well, and I've written a couple of mysteries, and I think one of the reasons why those two are so popular is because they're predictable. And you know that at the end of a mystery, they're going to catch the killer. And you know at the end of a romance that they're going to end up together. So you can read it and enjoy the story. You can enjoy the journey. You can enjoy the character development. You can enjoy the moving forward and the setbacks and all that kind of stuff with the comfort of knowing that in the end, all's going to be right. And I think that's why those two genres are so dominant. And thrillers, too, in a way, are like that. It's just a different kind of, way to get there or whatever. And, that's one of the reasons why I enjoy romance novels, is because I know that there's going to be a happily ever after. And especially during, my divorce and during COVID and during really stressful times in my life, I am drawn to those books more than literary fiction, where you don't know what the fuck's going to happen, right? They're probably going to kill each other by the end or something, or somebody's going to kill a dog. You just don't know. And so
no dog deaths.
No dog deaths. You're not going to get that in a romance. I mean, you're going to get dogs as meet cute dogs, right, in a romance. So that's why I enjoy it, and I think that's the reason why a lot of people read them. Is just that familiarity and that comfort. Oh no, are you going to disagree with me?
No, but I have something to add, but I'll wait. Oh, it's about misogyny. I won't forget.
Oh, you won't forget.
I think what everyone else has said very much so, but I think also, writing queer characters having a happy ever after is something that maybe people of my generation didn't ever really imagine happening in their own lives, and I think there's something really affirming about that.
I was going to say the same, that if you look at mainstream like TV, how many lesbians ever have a happy ending?
Well, they kill them all off.
They kill them off, or they're revealed as psychopathic monsters who get sent off to prison. It's ridiculous. And I do like resolution. I also think the body count is quite low in lesbian romances, and I get very fed up reading stuff where half the cast is dead right before the end. They don't even just kill one person; they have to have.
But aren't you sometimes in the mood to just watch people?
Well, I know. Yeah.
You're just like, I want that person to die.
Yeah, and it's very personal, isn't it? I think a lot of people, you write it as therapy for yourself, and if everyone else likes it as well, that's wonderful.
100%.
So, your misogyny edition? On a non-serious note, keeping it nice and light.
The thing, because as I say, Vice President Romantic Novelists Association, I have seen all of the disparagement of romance and romantic fiction as a genre, and one of the things that people tend to say, especially people who don't read it, is that, well, it has a happy ending, it's so predictable. And by that, they are entirely missing the point of the genre. But people don't say that about mystery or thrillers, and that is because, in general, romance is seen as a feminine genre.
Right.
And the vast majority of romantic fiction is written and read by women, but the thing is, the vast majority of all fiction is written actually by women over 45. They've done studies on that, but for some reason that particular genre is most picked up for ridicule and for disparagement. You can never you can never read an article about romantic fiction in a mainstream publication which does not mention bodice ripping or heaving bosoms. And while heaving bosoms are fucking great, it's used disparagingly rather than appreciatively, and I really think that is down to very simply misogyny, which is ironic because in many ways romantic fiction can be one of the most feminist genres out there, and it's all about relationships, but also, as I said, about redemption, and we can explore equality in relationships in a way that doesn't always get explored in different genres.
So you're quite lukewarm about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are literally millions, possibly billions of romance novels out there. So how do you all go about making your romance novels and that predictability of the happy ever after unique? And I'm going to start with Maggie.
Yeah. Well, my books, I always say at the start that they're contemporary and they're realistic. I try and write about quite gritty subjects. I see there's another panel about talking about this later, about how you bring in. I mean, I've written two series, one of which is based in an aid agency based in London, and they deal with child trafficking, they deal with cutting, they deal with slavery, human slavery. So it's not a pretty blah blah, sort of thing. But they have happy relationships. But my current book that's just out, one couple nearly break up, and I've got 6 points of view. So it bucked the trend for having her and her and her and her and her and her, and a bit of a slight misunderstanding and then a happy. So it's more complicated, which is why I tend to write series, because I think there's more to say and relationships develop and get more rich, and as the reader gets to know them, then the character, in my mind, develops and deepens, and that's really, I find that really satisfying.
Michelle, how do you go about making yours unique?
I think because for me it's about the characters first and foremost. Like in this room, everybody's got, I mean not everybody, but most people will have had a relationship or some kind of love story, but everybody's different, aren't they? So if you put two characters together and they are just uniquely themselves, then it's going to be different every time, I think. So the arc might be the same. It might be about two people who find each other and fall in love eventually and get together. But I think each of the people, so for me I always write characters, like I know the people, I know who they are, and then they're going to in some way come together and be together. But the characters themselves are different every single time. And when I read a lot, as well as the few books that I've written, and when I read them, I don't find books same in that way for that reason. Because it might be that it's two people, they might be in Miami, they might be in California, they might be in Wolverhampton, where I'm from. But they are two distinctly different, interesting people. And I'm fascinated by people. So for me, that, as long as it's got good characters and it's character driven, it will hold my interest, I think.
Yeah. And Aristotle said there are no new stories, aren't there? So that's, is that where you kind of start with two characters, and then you figure out their
and
journey?
I mean, it just sounds so wanky, but like it's true. Like I wrote a book and that character, I sort of knew them, and it is a wanky thing to say because you're writing it. Of course, there's a process. Sorry. Wanky word. But like, you go into a process with it, and then my first book, that character was like a poet, and I was like, fuck, where did poetry come from? I've never written a poem in my life. And then I had to write a poem for them in the book, kind of, and you just think that's so crazy, but like that character was so strong, so suggesting of their own like story, that I'm in control of them, obviously, but not massively. So it's kind of weird. But yeah, for me it's about the characters first and foremost, and I'm really fascinated by everyone I meet, so in that way it sort of carries on into writing. Conversations.
Yeah. Julie?
I have written, Rosie asked me how many books I've written, and I said, well, a shit ton. I can't actually remember. Yeah, I can't actually remember how many. I have to count them up. So I've written a lot of relationships now. And I think I absolutely agree with you. It is about the characters and the depth of characters. But also it's also about remembering that a romantic novel is not about getting the characters together. It's about keeping them apart. And you get together, and getting together is sort of the same. I don't know. It's not exactly the same, but keeping apart. I mean, God, there are a huge variety of ways that you can stop someone from getting with someone else. So that's one of the ways. I spend a great deal of time developing my characters. I do quizzes. I do free writing, and I use psychology books and things like that to help me understand and really get into their inner thing. And as Melissa knows, because I have talked with her about her writing, I spent a lot of time just going, why? She hates it. Like, why, Melissa? Why would they do that? Why? And I do that to myself, just like constantly. And it's just it's digging deeper into those characters that does it.
It's the teacher in you, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Explain why they would do that.
Yeah. Why? Why, Melissa?
Oh my goodness.
But good, right?
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
What about you with yourself?
Yeah, I guess sort of starting with the characters and thinking about sort of where they're going. It's really important for me to like my characters. I don't want to write about people that I don't want to know about their journey, and just all those things that do get in your way in life, internally and externally, that kind of and having a journey that people want to follow them on, and it's going to be a happy ever after, but it's like the things that you've got to go through to get there. I think I really enjoy that.
So what I like to do in my fiction to make it unique is I like to try to turn the tropes on their heads. I like to try to do something that is not expected. And I can give you examples in all of my books, and all of my books are not romantic fiction, but like in my first mystery, one of the things I hate about mysteries, is, especially in series, is how they have these two people who are obviously into each other, and they just keep for 10 or 15 books, keeping them apart. And I'm like, that is just not real life. I mean, it's just really not real life. And so I immediately got these two people, and it was almost like love at first sight, first book. And in the first Western I wrote, which was called Sawbones, the heroine, usually you've got the man saving the woman. Well, she saved his ass, right? He ends up beaten up and bloody and unconscious, and she's the one that takes care of it. Spoiler alert. And, so in all of my fiction, I try to do that, because I think that Julie's reading one of my books right now, and she told me yesterday, she said, every time I think I know what's going to happen, it doesn't happen. You surprise me, and it's the opposite. And to me, that's what I want out of my books, because although the predictability in books and stuff, I love that, I also like to be surprised. Now, I also really, really hate, I mean, with a passion, this is my biggest pet peeve, is miscommunication as the whole driver of a plot. I hate that. I was reading a book, a romance, just a few weeks ago, and it was cute, and I was enjoying it and stuff, and then this character is making a decision to lie to this woman that she had started dating, like omit something and not tell her something, knowing what it was going to, and she's making this conscious decision, and I'm like, you are an idiot. Just talk to her. Because Julie and I can attest, I mean, a lot of times and this is going to sound negative, a lot of the times the drama comes from communication, more drama from communication than from non-communication. And non-communication is just this really lazy choice that I hate. And it's probably personal experiences why I really despise that. And so I prefer creating the drama out of communication as one of the other things. But that's me, subverting tropes. Although I did just write a straight-on lesbian romance under a pen name that Julie said was very tropey. And that's okay.
Tropey,
it was tropey.
Great.
Okay.
It was very tropey. It was
we
great.
Love a trope.
That is a very nice segue into what is your favourite trope to write and why? I'm going to pick on you if you don't just say.
I'll just say what my favorite trope is, and I haven't written a lot of just straight on lesbian romances, so I have not written this once, but the one I love to read is Age Gap, and that's probably because I'm 52 years old, but I love the age gap romances, so maybe I'll probably write one day. We'll see.
Iona? Favourite trope to write or read?
I think I never really thought about it reading-wise, but I seem to write age gap, probably for the same reason.
Yeah. a little wish fulfillment there. Done.
We're supposed to ask ages, are we?
Yeah, I like Age Gap, but I also really like Ice Queen.
Yeah.
I'm a great Ice Queen fan.
Especially if they wear like suits and stilettos.
Yes. but yeah, the power imbalance and subverting it, and it's very classic because I started off as a Mills and Booney kind of author when I was really young, and it got so samey. But this, you have to have some conflict and you have to have somebody battling through, and I like the subversion of melting the ice. That's what I like. Ice melts, I really like.
Julie?
Pining.
Pining.
Oh, I love pining. And I write a lot of pining. Like someone who has had a crush on someone for ages and just pines after them, or someone who just doesn't know that the other person likes them. And I love to read it. Oh my God, Heartstopper had some great pining in it. And I love it. And because maybe in my life I have maybe done a lot of pining, maybe. Maybe.
Michelle?
I thought Maggie said ice cream. I thought I really like that. Pining is good. I love a lot of angst. Like I like to write angst. I love to read angst. I discovered a trope, a genre, whatever you call it, which is forced proximity. Have you heard that? I love
Elevators.
it. I didn't even know what it was.
Elevators.
Now I love it. It's like an
Snowed in.
earthquake. You're trapped in a place, or you're up in a cabin, and all the roads are closed, and then you have to be together with this person that you either are pining for, you start off hating, or whatever. But that forced proximity, I read a couple, and I was like, that's kind of good.
I've got a book recommendation for you later.
So,
For that, I've got a book recommendation for you later.
is it one of yours?
No.
You can recommend it now, because readers might.
Well, I need to look it up. It's by E.J. Noyes.
Noise.
Noyes. Let me look it up, and then I'll recommend it.
Yeah, we'll do it later then.
Okay.
Okay, so quick fire round.
Okay.
So I'm going to go from this end to this end.
It's okay. You can do it. Yes, you can do it.
Because you're a teenager, Kevin. Soulmate, yes or no?
Yes.
Excellent, because your wife's in the room. Soulmate, yes or no?
No.
No.
Maybe.
I
don't know.
You've got to go on one or the other. Yes or no? Come on.
No.
Oh no.
Is this in fiction or in romance?
Let's say it's fiction.
In fiction. Yes, in fiction, yes.
Soulmate, yes or no?
In both, absolutely.
Soulmate, yes or no?
Yes.
My wife's in the room too.
Yeah, it's like.
Okay, I've got a ton of questions and I could talk for hours with these wonderful people. Does anybody in the audience have a burning question they want to ask these fabulous authors?
Can I just ask a question about...
No, you can't ask anything.
It's in the audience.
I know, maybe.
I'm fascinated about the age gap romance.
Yeah.
And I want to ask people who just said yes, they're really into the age gap romance. Are you looking up or down?
Oh, okay. So, in terms of an age gap romance that you're liking,
Interested, yeah?
are you the older person or the younger person? If you're kind of in that, is that what you're sort of saying?
What?
Yeah, looking down. I can't believe you're even asking that question. Let's see if anyone's saying, oh, Queen Elizabeth.
There's a reference to the fact that I'm 52, so what you're saying the age gap romance is the 52 upwards from 52, or are we looking downwards from 52?
Well, it goes both ways, doesn't it? The point of an age gap. So, like, everybody's 35, they're looking up, and then there's a 52 double gap. I don't see. This is why you're not allowed to ask questions. Does anybody want to answer that?
I don't even understand it.
There you go.
I'll take a stab at it. I'll just say, I mean, based on my age, I guess I can relate more to the older one, maybe. I mean, of course, I feel like I'm in my 20s and early 30s, but I don't know. I don't even know if that's the right answer to that question.
Like I say, she's not long enough to talk. I like to move things around. She doesn't really do talking. How can readers learn from the mistakes that the characters make in romance novels? Do you kind of thread that through your books?
Try not to get trapped in an earthquake. earthquake basement situation. Woman you love your whole life.
Isn't that a good thing?
True.
Would you be like, setting some bombs up at the bottom of a volcano? I will get to be trapped in a basement with you.
Yeah.
That's true when you put it that way.
Yeah. I had a book set in a wildfire, and I think if you can smell smoke, start running. You know. Or if the sky turns red, that's a hint as well.
That reminds me, if there's a fire, please use the stairs, not the lifts.
Lesson you would learn.
Unless the person you really fancy gets it.
Every book would say, well, communicate more, tell people you like them, you know, but no one's going to do that in real life. I don't know if you've ever met a British person with lots of longing, pining, miscommunication. It may seem unrealistic, but in my life it is not. The person I've ever liked, I've never told them. I've sort of had people stay over in my room for 3 nights in a row and eventually say, are we going to... I thought you were just being friendly, that's why. No idea, especially to people. It's not stock in trade to just miscommunicate. So I've read so many books that would tell me the way to happiness is to communicate better and be open about my feelings. I have not changed.
Do you attest to that? I'm a fellow British person. Was I subtle about coming forward in my...
Typical.
There's nothing subtle about you.
Okay, so I need to elaborate on that just a little bit. Brits aren't the only ones that have the corner on the market of not communicating.
We're like Olympic level.
Well, my husband must be, or my ex-husband must be a secret Brit because he was, you know. And I will say that experience, the miscommunication and non-communication, taught me to... in the next relationship I wanted to be in, I was going to communicate. And if that person that wanted to be in a relationship with me was not going to, give back, then I'm done. And luckily,
she's a communicator.
I am definitely
you
a communicator.
You might have noticed.
Sorry, it's just I'm a Texan. I can't help it. And so that's one of the great things about our relationship is we are able to have that healthy communication. So we did learn. I did learn, and I think you did too.
Well, yeah, I learned a lot of that through writing too. I think I wrote a lot when I was very unhappy, and I think writing can help you. Right, when I went into therapy, let's get a little bit personal, but when I went into therapy, my therapist said, you are incredibly emotionally articulate about things that are going on in your life and in other people's lives. I was like, babe, I do that for a living. That is literally what I do. I sit down and write about people's emotions and think about how people interact with each other. So writing has certainly taught me how to do that. It's harder to do in real life because it's terrifying. But yeah, my novels often deal with very serious subjects. So there's war in this one, racism, misogyny, rape. There's a lot. I try to deal with serious subjects and look at them and look at how you survive that. I don't step away from trauma, and I don't step away from characters making very bad decisions, because I think that's human and I think that's very interesting. So hopefully, I have had readers get in touch and say, I had a book which was about infertility, and I had readers get in touch and talk to me about that, and say it was something that they had gone through, and that reading a happy ending helped them in their time of sadness.
Okay, so romance books can be enjoyed from a very young age to 16 to 116. We've touched on it a little bit with age gaps, but do you tend to write characters that are of a similar age, or do you hop all over the age spectrum? And I'm going to start with Iona, sorry.
She's starting with you all the time. She's doing that.
Yeah.
No, I'm just...
Sorry, what was the...
So, what was the question? I'll come back to you. I'll ask Maggie the question. What kind of ages do you tend to write? The same kind of ages or younger?
Yeah, so far they've been quite limited. Upper 40s maximum, generally past the age of consent, maybe 24, 25 minimum. But I'd like to write, I've got a book in my head about two women in their 60s, where one is, they've been partners for 35 years and one's losing her memory. It's based on a novel by Jane Rule that was I found really powerful when I read it many, many, many years ago. I'd like to rework that story and do it again. So, I think I'm 70. I may be the oldest here, perhaps. But anyone who thinks...
Nobody's admitted if you're not. Definitely silence.
Maybe... anyone who thinks women over 60 don't have sex or don't enjoy sex is a fool. But, So I'm happy to say I'm 70 and I'm happy to say I'm still looking, I'm still interested. Don't feel obliged, but...
Maybe there's a time to drop your email address.
These contact details are over on the corner. So, Iona, have you had enough time to now think about that?
Well, yeah. So far, my characters have been sort of in a sort of age range. I don't think I'd want to write characters who are much younger, but I probably will write characters, the older people are, the more stuff there is to write about them. And I probably will go up in age range rather than down, I guess.
Michelle?
I suppose I mainly write people sort of 30s maybe. It's kind of a nice average for me. Still fine, fit, but not too young, lived a bit. I wrote this tremendous story once that's never been published about a 16-year-old from Wolverhampton who met Sharon Gless on Wogan when she was publicising her first book on a chat show, and they fell in love. There was quite an age range there. I don't know any 16-year-olds from Wolverhampton that had a crush on Christine Cagney, but...
for the younger people in the audience, there was a show back in the 80s called Cagney and Lacey, which is an American TV show with two kick-ass women detective type people.
One was blonde and...
I was a Sharon Gless fan.
You were? Sorry. That was an age gap, 16. She must have been about 40 then. Shame for that sign. And I will attest to the fact that many women in their 60s and 70s do enjoy sex, Maggie, because I get some kind of DMs that you... In fact, I did a book thing and I read a scene from my book and it was kind of sexy, and I sold 11 books in the age range after that reading of that sex scene. One woman put it in her bag and walked off and said, "I'll think about you later while I'm reading that."
Wow!
So there is an after party today. That's at 5:30 at the New Forest, is until late as you like that party to go to. Julie, what kind of characters do you like to write?
As I said, I've written a shit ton of books, so I have written probably protagonists from the age of 16 to the age of 80. So it really depends on the book and what's needed. I think most of the one of the characters in here is in her 40s, and the rest are in their 20s. So I guess it is an age gap. And the book that I have coming out in August, called Summer People, is a very steamy romance between two married women, one in their 40s and one in their late 30s. So it depends, and I actually agree that I think when you're older you have more to write about. There's much more, and I'm interested in stories of people who have already been through relationships, and because that's where I am, and I think you bring a richness to that.
So yes,
all of the above.
I was asked to write a a treatment or synopsis for a historical book, and one of the main characters was going to be 19, and one of the first things I said was, I'm not writing a 19-year-old. And so I was able to age them up a little bit. But I don't think I would be comfortable writing a 20-year-old, because I think there's so much, even though I have 2 20-year-old boys, I think there's so much I don't know about that generation and the vernacular and just stuff. And no offense to the 20-year-olds in the audience, but I really don't have any desire to learn, And no offense, guys, right? I mean, I love y'all. Y'all do you. But, I don't want to listen to your music to try to understand. That's the thing, is I want to really understand my characters, and I don't want to do the research right now to understand 20-year-olds. Sorry. So, yes, 30s, 40s, probably in the 50s.
Okay. All right, we're almost out of time, so we're going to finish off with a quick fire round. And I'm not going to start over the other side of Iona, because apparently I'm picking on you. Romantic cruise or romantic beach holiday?
On a cruise you get to eat constantly.
I think you're focusing on the wrong thing.
Well, she did say eat.
Yeah.
Well, oh, hello.
The beach holiday, as long as it's not too hot, look how pale I am. Beach holiday, definitely. I love the sea. Who doesn't love the sea?
Okay. Beach holiday or cruise?
I don't like cruise ships, but I love sailboats. So if it could be a sailboat, cruise.
Okay, storm.
Beach.
Beach holiday. Yeah. Okay, excellent. Mac?
Definitely cruise, because all that sand.
It gets in places.
Damp
Sand.
Damp sand.
Oh, you should have said that louder. That was very funny.
Beach, definitely. But it could be Pebble Beach.
So that's masochist land, isn't it?
Big pebbles. Okay. Do we have any last questions from the audience? Oh, Sam.
Would any of you consider writing a series in romance, and how would you do it?
I've done it.
Yeah, Maggie?
Yeah, I've done 2 series, one based in the USA, one based in the UK, and I've kind of introduced a new character in each book, but kept the relationship of the first character and developed it so they're now sort of supporting characters.
Mm-hmm.
And so far that works. Yeah.
Anybody else want to start at that?
Yeah, with my pen name is Laura Henry, and the book that came out was an Audible original called Hold Me Closer, Tony Danzig. Totally recommend that you, it's karaoke based, totally recommend you download it. But I plan on writing other books that will take a secondary character from the previous book and explore their lives and romance, and then just keep doing that. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. And I've done that too when I was writing romantic comedies. But just yesterday, I finished what I hope will be the first book in a trilogy. And I wrote a trilogy of 5 as well, like Douglas Adams. I did that under a pen name. So I say a shit ton of books. But I'm hoping with that one. But with this, because it's going to have the same 2 characters throughout all 3 books, I'm really plotting it. I'm trying to plot it like, the Star Wars, the original trilogy. So you have the sort of innocence, and then you have the really dark one, which is going to be the best one, and then there's the third one that has this sort of happy ending. So I'm doing it the Star Wars theory of plotting. Yeah, with more women.
Yeah.
Lesbian Star Wars.
So great. Oh my god, Princess Leia. Oh my god. Princess Leia and what's her name that Laura Dern plays?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Who cares what her name is? No, I'm kidding.
I thought somebody in the audience was going to offer the answer. No, shall remain a mystery. Any last question from anybody? Oh yes, there's it. Oh, Michelle.
Sorry, I'm still stuck on the ice cream. What was it?
Ice Queen.
And this is another example of why we don't like authors to ask questions. To get a little bit flirty pie business. Okay, thank you very much.